Welcome to GrafanaCON. This is our biggest community event so far. My name is Carl Bergqvist. I'm a principal engineer.
I am Mihaela Mayer. I'm a director of engineering. And I'm so excited to be here, from recording those videos, which I hope you all appreciated. It wasn't easy, to making this for the event. I've been so excited to join you all here.
So the last time we were in person for GrafanaCON was 2019 in LA. And we're really excited to be back in person after 4 years of GrafanaCON online. Could you do a quick show of hands? How many of you, is this the first GrafanaCON ever? Oh, wow. How many of you were at GrafanaCON Amsterdam 2018? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So 2018 was very special for me because midday one, my girlfriend called me and said that we're expecting twins. And the rest of the conference is kind of blurry to me, but I do remember the end, and that is that we could fit the whole company on stage, which is a big difference compared to now.
Yeah, and at GrafanaCON 2019, we actually announced our idea for the LGTM stack. So at that point, we had Grafana, obviously. In 2018, we announced Loki, and TNM were kind of still ideas. But today, in 2024, our open source projects include so much. So that's Loki, Grafana, Tempo, Mimir, our LGTM stack. But so much more. We've got Pyroscope, K6, OnCall, Faro, Bela, and much, much more. So this year, we've expanded GrafanaCON to focus on all of the extended open source ecosystem. You'll hear more about them in this keynote and throughout the next 2 days as well. GrafanaCON is our opportunity to celebrate our Big Tent philosophy and also our community. And with that, I'd like to invite you to give it up to Raj.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Carl. Hello, everyone. My name's Raj Dutt, and I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO here at Grafana Labs. Appreciate it. Might need that. It's a real pleasure to be here in Amsterdam. Like Carl said, we're back here after 6 years, and it's been 5 years since our last in-person event. And I got to say, after sort of 3 or 4 years of virtual GrafanaCONs, I'm kind of virtualed out. So I hope you're all glad to be here in person and recapture some of that energy that we have at these events. So I kind of was staring from behind the stage there. I guess there were 3 or 4 people who joined us at GrafanaCON 2018. Just raise your hands again. All right, yeah, that's surprising. So sort of 5 or 6 people. Do you remember how cold it was back then in 2018? It was the coldest day on record for the year in Amsterdam, and all the flights were delayed. And it's amazing to be back, warmer weather, bigger venue, and so much has changed. It's just been an incredible 5 or 6 years. Carl mentioned that at the last time we were here in Amsterdam, 2018, we fit the whole company on stage. At the end of the conference, we invited everyone up. The entire company attended, and we were about 35 people. And it's kind of just insane for me to think that in the last 6 years, it would now take about 4 747s to fit the whole company together. We've grown from 30 people to over 1,000 since we were here last. And yeah, so much has changed. But my overwhelming emotion at every GrafanaCON is really excitement and gratitude. Of course, we're here to celebrate. I'm really excited that we launched Grafana 11. We do this generally every year, launch a major version of the open source project that is at the center of everything that we do. So this year is no different. Our engineering teams are always trying to figure out how the date of the Grafana release is set. And our marketing team thinks that it's the engineering teams that come up with the date, but really the marketing team comes up with the GrafanaCON date and kind of tricks our engineering teams into agreeing to release it on that day. We call it conference-driven development, and we've been doing it for a long time. But obviously, Torkel is going to be on stage shortly, and he's going to be unveiling what you're all here to see, a new version of Grafana 11. But like I said, really feeling grateful today, very excited. But I really wanted to celebrate kind of 3 or 4 key areas as we look back and also as we look ahead. So the first one is everyone at Grafana Labs. We call them Grafanistas. Like I said, there's over 1,000 super talented people all over the world. We like to say that we're not really a multinational company. We're more post-geographic. And even before we Even before COVID, since 2016, we were remote first, since before it was in fashion. So we really figured out how to kind of be this remote organization, post-geographic, like I said, and it's really in our DNA. And it's wonderful to be such an international company with employees, like I said, from over 40 countries, and it gives us a really global flavor to everything that we do. And speaking of Grafanistas, I just want to take a pause, take a beat, to just thank the events team at Grafana Labs for putting on this incredible event. And it takes a lot of work, all the logistics, all the planning. So from everyone from Katie to Sonia to the entire Grafana Labs events team, just give a quick round of applause. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank our customers. And I remember really clearly at the last GrafanaCONs, again, 2018, 2019, like another world, I used to ask people in the audience to raise their hands if they were a customer. And I knew not a whole lot of people would raise their hands because at the time we only had maybe a dozen customers. At this point, we have over 5,000, which, again, blows my mind from a milestone standpoint. So raise your hand if you're a customer of Grafana Labs in any way. Wow, that's really impressive. I'd say maybe a third of the audience at this point. That's more customers in this room than we had at the last conference. Very cool to see. And our customers, big and small, from the largest, top 10 companies in the world to startups and hobbyists using the free tier of Grafana Cloud. And it's great to see that growth. And finally, and most importantly, the thing that we celebrate at all GrafanaCONs is the community. And the community has also grown a lot since we last got together in person at a GrafanaCON. There's over 1 million instances of Grafana out in the wild that we see, that we track. And we are so privileged to be at the center of mass of this really vibrant community and ecosystem. And as Carl and Mihaela said, we really believe in the big tent, bringing together other projects, other ecosystems, other vendors, all underneath Grafana and helping you analyze your data, understand your data, no matter where it lives. So while we're really excited to talk about things like Grafana, Loki, Mimir, Tempo, all of our projects, it's important to remember that no matter where your data lives, whether you're using vendors like Elastic, Splunk, Influx, ClickHouse, there's a lot of interesting technologies, a lot of interesting databases, a lot of interesting projects out in the ecosystem. And it's really important to our mission to help you own your own observability strategy and be able to visualize and understand your data, whether it's in one of our databases or whether it's in another database altogether. And that's a true core part of our Big Tent philosophy. So when it comes to community, we always take a few moments to celebrate some dashboards in the wild, and this year is no different. So I'm going to look at 3 or 4 dashboards that caught our eye and share them with you. And just to kind of underscore how flexible Grafana is, none of these dashboards have anything to do with what most people normally use Grafana for, which is monitoring IT, monitoring servers, monitoring Kubernetes, the typical SRE, observability, developer use case. None of these dashboards have anything to do with it. So we're constantly delighted, surprised, oftentimes amused, sometimes confused by what our community is up to. So I'm going to share some examples. Before we get to the dashboard examples, I just want to take a quick moment to talk about a new program we have, the Champions program at Grafana, and we launched this just over the last year. And this program really exists to recognize all the community members who are active in our community, who help each other, help the community at large, whether that's on our forums, on our Slack channels, on our community help. And so our mission with this program is really to advance that knowledge and that outreach beyond the walls of Grafana Labs and formalize what has always been happening kind of naturally in the ecosystem. So big thank you to all the champions here. I know that 5 or 6 of you are here in the audience, and looking forward to hearing from 2 or 3 of you speak. So big thanks to all the champions in this new program that we've established. All right, so dashboards in the wild. I always find this fun. We'll take a look at a few of these. So this first one is actually from the BBC. They have a mobile app called BBC Sounds. Now, I don't live in the UK or Europe, but who here is familiar with BBC Sounds? Yeah? All right, quite a few of you. I thought this might be kind of a DOA project and no one had heard of it, but apparently it's used by some of you. So BBC Sounds is a streaming app, and it gives listeners access to the full gamut of BBC's live radio stations and on-demand content. And this dashboard is really looking at the mobile network connectivity performance and the streaming audio performance across the BBC kind of footprint. And if listeners are on the move, if they're walking through particular parts of the UK, it helps the BBC really track kind of network quality and how the user experience is doing as far as the streaming service goes. And I thought this was pretty interesting. Again, nothing to do with traditional observability use cases and really nice use of geomap visualization. This next one comes up again and again, but this is one of the nicest examples I've seen. This is off someone's Fitbit. And so I've started keeping track of some health stats. I use an Apple Watch. I'm frustrated by how the data is visualized on my iPhone, but this is absolutely gorgeous. And so you can see that this is actually from a community member, Arpan, but he's visualizing all his Fitbit data, whether it's from steps to his blood oxygen to his heart rate activity, and just visualizing it beautifully in Grafana, sending all that data to Grafana Cloud. He has long-term access to all his health metrics, and looks really good too. And it looks like there's several hundred people using this dashboard, so sharing is caring, and if you want to check it out, you can find it on GitHub. This last one is both amusing and maybe sinister. This is from one of our solutions engineers, and he's using Grafana when military school is not an option for his kids. So Brian LeBlanc, again, one of our solutions engineers, works at Grafana Labs, uses Grafana, Slack, as well as our incident response management system to alert the correct household members when his kids' rooms aren't cleaned, when their chores aren't done. And believe me, escalations in this household are a very serious thing. I know Brian's even looking at introducing a service level objective to hold his kids to. And so, it's great. They're learning Grafana when they're young. They're learning, how to be good kids, hopefully, too. And you can see this is all integrated with Slack. According to Brian, he calls this the robo-parenting project, which I find amusing. But it's working out pretty well. And I guess ask him in 10 years, and we'll see how it's going. And so this final example, this final dashboard from the wild is about a topic and an area that's near and dear to many Grafanistas' hats, space travel. So I still remember really clearly, I think it was back in 2018 when we were watching a SpaceX launch, and we saw Grafana on launch control through just a media clip. And we weren't sure that it was Grafana. We had to zoom into the monitor on this random news clip, and we found Grafana was used in SpaceX launch control. We sent an email to SpaceX. We sent an email to Elon Musk, but he never responded to us. That's okay. Since then, it was also used by NASA, which is really cool. And then finally, just over the last year, it's now being used by the Japanese JAXA SLIM lunar landing modules. And we're really excited at GrafanaCON, this GrafanaCON, we're going to welcome Satoshi Nakira from JAXA, and he's actually going to speak on how JAXA used Grafana to actually help with telemetry on their lunar landing. And you can actually see from this dashboard that's a pretty cool panel, and I'm actually really looking forward to this talk. But there seems to be a little niche that Grafana is able to exploit when it comes to space travel, and we're really glad to see that build. All right, so I've saved the best two dashboards for last. Over the last year, we've launched something that we call our Golden Grot Awards. And just like I mentioned, we've been informally kind of looking at these dashboards every year. And over the last 2 years, we've launched these awards where we look at the best personal and the best professional dashboard from across the community. There's an internal panel of judges. We cull it down to 5 finalists. And then there's a public voting period where our entire community votes on the best personal dashboard and the best professional dashboard. And of course, we give away a Golden Grot Award. So I'd like to unveil the 2 winners from this year. Here we go. So on the personal standpoint, I'd like to congratulate Ruben Fernandez and ask him to come up here for his Golden Grot. And Alyssa Emmerich is here, too, from our Developer Relationships program to present the Physical Grot Award. But congratulations, Ruben. This is a really cool dashboard. I understand it's for tracking your commute. You've hooked it up with the Atlanta Metropolitan Transport Authority. You've got some Bing Maps. And hopefully it's made your commute very accurate and error-free. Yeah, so all the best on your future commutes. And if you ever have any data integrity problems with judging the distance of your commute, you can't blame us. But best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, see ya. So that's the personal winner for the Golden Grot. And the second Golden Grot winner for the professional category is Christopher Field from Thea Scientific. So Christopher and his brother are AI ML researchers and nuclear physicists, and they teamed up at Thea Scientific to analyze basically material science over time. So we all know time series data, and we all think of numbers, but this is actually getting a new image snapshot and storing it in a time series database. There's all sorts of custom data sources, custom panels, but this is actually a visualization of part of a nuclear reactor, and it's using machine learning to understand how these materials degrade, don't degrade, and perform over time. So it's super cool stuff, and if, again, completely unrelated to Kubernetes, CPU, disk I/O, but it just goes to show how powerful Grafana is and some of the crazy things that our community gets up to that we can barely understand. So Chris, congratulations on winning the Golden Grot. All right, well then now the moment you've all been waiting for. I'd like to call up Torkel Ödegaard, my partner in crime, our co-founder, and the man who's excited to talk about a special announcement today. You'll notice the title CGO. Many companies have CXO titles. We have a chief technology officer. He's somewhere around here, Tom. You might meet him. I have a chief financial officer, Waylon. He's busy talking to some investors in the US. I'm the chief executive officer, but there's a very important title at Grafana Labs. It's called the CGO, and that just goes to show who we are, and that's our chief Grafana officer. So, Torkel, take it away.
Thanks. Thanks, Raj. Well, it's a true pleasure to be back on stage for a real kind of in-person GrafanaCON and talk about a new major version of Grafana. So, Grafana 11, it is out in preview today. It's really kind of the summation of a year full of minor releases, full of new features and enhancements, and many features that have been released in preview form that are now ready for prime time in Grafana 11. So we'll have a deep dive session later today that will kind of go into detail about everything. But there is one kind of major, there's a few, but one really big new feature in Grafana 11 that we haven't kind of showed off or released in preview form before that I want to demo and talk about today. But before I do, I want to give you some background because I think this feature really addresses kind of the core mission of Grafana that we've had from the start, which is to make observability easy and powerful through kind of good UX design, focus on ease of use, and user flexibility and freedom. In the beginning, we referred to this goal as democratize metrics. And throughout the years, we have approached it in varying ways, but mostly by kind of focusing on making query editors easier to use and more powerful, improving ways to sort of build panels and dashboards, improving ways how you can sort of navigate data and explore or connect dashboards together by data links. But we've always thought that Grafana can do better, like learning to define these queries and building these panels and dashboards still take a lot of learning and knowledge and time. And even the best kind of designed dashboards can suffer from being too static. So what if Grafana could do it all for you dynamically and on the fly? And that is kind of what this new feature, Explore Metrics, is trying to do. Let's jump into a demo. So you find this new feature under Explore Metrics. And the first time you go there, you will be jumped into what we call a new exploration, a new metric exploration. And the first goal is to select a metric. So instead of just being presented by a bunch of metric names, you actually see graphs of the data you have. You can filter down this list of metric names by adding, for example, a label filter. And of course, you can type in some search words. So let's type in HTTP, because I'm interested here in some HTTP metrics for an application. And I get to see some Flask HTTP request duration metrics here, which sounds like a good thing, because I know we're using Flask HTTP library in the Python application that I'm working on. And if I select this metric, I go into the kind of the main visualization view for this UI or this feature. And one thing to note here, there's no query builder. There's no query editor, really. Grafana will create the Prometheus query automatically for you by looking at the metric name. So Prometheus metrics have some kind of standardized metric naming conventions that Grafana can use here to deduce a suitable query, and also a suitable unit, as you'll see. So this is looking at the request per second rate here. If I go to related metrics, I can jump to a different metric, let's sort of match the current label filters that I have, but it also filter or sort similar name metrics to the top. So right at the top here, I see other kind of Flask HTTP request duration metrics. For example, this bucket metric. So if I select this metric, I instead get 3 percentile queries. 99th percentile, 90th, and 50th. So you don't have to know how to write a percentile query in PromQL here. It's all done for you. And you can also switch to a heat map view here, which is a different form of Prometheus query to do a proper heat map query, something that can still be quite tricky to do in a Grafana dashboard panel to get the Prometheus query right and the visualization settings correct. But here in this UI, you don't have to think about anything. It's just done for you. So one thing to note here, when I change kind of time range here, there are new blue dots being added here. So this at the top here is what we call the history trail. So every kind of label filter change you do, or any sort of change of the metric you're looking at, or time range change, it kind of records a new dot here, which makes it super easy to go back to kind of previous states of the view, to previous time ranges you looked at, or previous metrics or filter states. So let's go back to this kind of request per second metric here, because if I zoom out a bit, it has these spikes, which is interesting, because I only have a cluster label filter here. So this spike could really be coming from many different applications, many different instances of that application, many different HTTP operations. Could all be contributing to this graph. So it would be really nice to be able to kind of de-aggregate this data, to be able to identify where this spike is coming from. And that's what the breakdown tab is all about. It enables you to kind of automatically view this, the graph at the top there, but grouped by all the different labels that exist for this metric. So I can see the data here grouped by container, job, method, path, and pod. I can also orient this view in rows, so I can kind of align it with the graph at the top there, which stays fixed. You can disable that the graph stays fixed at the top there, but it's really handy to be able to align a spike. So let's go into the job label here, for example. And if I scroll here, I can clearly see that this spike in the aggregated graph is clearly coming from the right service payment job or application in this case. So I can add that to the label filters. It gets added to the top, and I can continue the kind of this breakdown, the aggregation workflow. I can look at the status label, and I clearly see here that the spikes are generating 500 status errors because it's correlated with this status 500 series. So I can add that to the label filters. And I can continue here to look at, for example, path. And I see here that all these requests are to the pay operation. So I hope you can see how fast, easy, intuitive it is to kind of do this kind of root cause analysis or ad hoc kind of drill down without having to modify a query by trying different group bys, or spending time building kind of interlinked drill down dashboards. It's all done for you automatically and on the fly in this UI. And speaking of dashboards, you can actually access this UI directly from a dashboard as well. So if you have a Prometheus query in a graph panel, you can, from the menu, open and access this kind of Explore Metrics UI directly inside a drawer without having to leave the dashboard. And from here, directly kind of do the same kind of deaggregation breakdown. And if you find something interesting, you can open this in the standalone view here again. You can share a URL to this page, of course. Open the query in Explore to do some manual changes to it. Create a bookmark. And if you use the breadcrumb, you can go to the feature landing page, where you can easily jump into any of your recent explorations or bookmarks. So yeah, I'm really excited about this feature and kind of general direction it takes Grafana in. So that's the end of the demo. And we can jump back to the slides here. As I said, this feature is only for Prometheus metrics, which is a shame. It would be really cool to have something like this, but for logs as well. So luckily at Grafana Labs, we have these company-wide week-long hackathon events where groups of people can form teams that try to build on anything they want. As long as it can solve something for the company or is good for the community, they can build anything in a week. And the winner of our last hackathon built something really incredible. The last hackathon was in March this year, and they built something really inspired by this Explore Metrics feature. And at the end of the hackathon, each team has to submit a video that kind of shows the problem they're trying to solve and what they built. And we thought it would be fun to kind of give you a kind of insight as well into the Grafana Labs company culture a bit, to show this video as well. After the video, there's going to be a demo of this really cool hackathon project.
Hello, I'm Matt Ryer. Welcome to Grafana's Log Quest, the game show where we put new Loki features to the test. Two contestants will go head-to-head. One will show us how you would solve a problem today with current Loki tech. The other will show us how you use innovations in this hackathon to solve those same problems. Meet Cyril. Cyril has been working on Loki since 2019. Cyril, hello.
Hello, Matt.
Let's meet our other contestant, Jonathan. Jonathan is new to tech, and he got his job here only because his uncle has got some dirt on Tom. I'm also going to have to play Jonathan. All right?
Hey, Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan. To be honest, I'm not really into computers, not really my thing. Right, so it's safe to say that you don't know logql, Jonathan. Couldn't even spell it. Oh, that's good, isn't it? In round one, our contestants need to find out the misbehaving pod within the Mimir ingester service. Is Cyril to go first? Off you go, Cyril.
So this is going to be super simple. So first, we're going to go to Explore.
Well, I can see why Loki is so popular. Let's see how Jonathan fares. How would you do it with the new UI, Jonathan? Over to you.
Right, well, I'll just pick the service, then filter by labels. This is done automatically for me. Level is what I want. Into I want errors. Let's have a look. Oh, and there you go. That's the pod with all the errors.
Okay, thank you very much. The results are in. Well, Cyril, you used many years, 3 or 4 years of logql experience. Jonathan didn't use any and only took a few seconds and is an idiot. So for round one, Jonathan takes the point. In round two, right, we found the pod, but there's been an incident and we need to find out which users were impacted by a particular incident. Cyril, it's you to go first. What do you got for us?
We found the pod. Again, very simple. We just need to remove everything.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Jonathan, how are you going to cope with this? Well, I'll just do one click here, like, click, and then I'll just go and do another click here. Look, that one took me 2 clicks. For round 2, the point again goes to Jonathan.
In the final round, we're looking for the version number of a service, but the trouble is, the logs are very noisy. Cyril to play.
No, I'm not going to play. I know that I have to keep excluding things one by one, and it's going to take too long. And what if I accidentally exclude the line that I'm looking for? I think Jonathan can just do it easily by browsing the extracted pattern. He doesn't even see the noise. He can jump right to the relevant log line.
Well, I think it's congratulations again, Jonathan, and thank you for watching.
So, welcome, Cyril, to give you a deep dive into this amazing project. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone. Super excited to be here to show you this new application, heavily inspired by Explore metrics. We call it Explore Logs. All right, so we're going to switch to the demo. So Jonathan is actually at the event. If you meet him today, let him know that I want to say hi again. All right, so can we see my screen? Yes. So you're going to see the same pattern as Explore metrics. You're going to find Explore logs under Explore and logs. So on the landing page, we show you all the services. So it's by service name. And then a breakdown. So for each rows, it's a breakdown of the volume per level. And then next to it, a glimpse of how the logs look like. So we can see very quickly which services is interesting. And then at the same time, we can also search for services. So I'm going to search for Mimir services, for instance. Right. So we can see, for instance, that the Mimir ingester is having some errors. So I'm going to drill into that. OK, so on the second page, once you're locked in services, and by the way, those services are actually automatically detected for you by Loki. So once you're on this page, at the top, you still see the volume histogram with the breakdown per level. At the bottom is the same as the Explore log panel, so the same kind of experience that you used to have, and you can see the labels for each of the log line. So however, what is different here is that you don't even have to write a query. We actually give you tools to explore your logs without writing any query. So let's look at all of those tools. So the first one is breakdown per label, those indexed labeled by Loki, which are very powerful and help you to query faster Loki and slice and dice the data. What's very interesting is I can actually look at Mimir ingester and realize, how is it logging across all my cluster, all my pods, and all the namespace. And I can use those labels to filter down the data directly and make choice based on trend. So I'm going to maybe look at some cluster. So it's the same as Explore metric again. You have different views where you can combine all the cluster in a single view, or go in the rows UI where it's all aligned with the top histogram. Right. So let's select US East one. Then I can go back, and now it's filtered down by US East. And then I can maybe look at the pods and try to find maybe an outlier. So one of them that is logging much more. So let me just look at all of them. There we go. Right, this one seems to be logging more. So you see, take decision based on the graph directly. Right, the second feature, which is very interesting, is detected field. So those fields are actually not indexed. They are the one from the log content directly that you have. And it's kind of automatically building for you some sort of a dashboard and shows you so this is a gRPC API mostly, the logs themselves. And it gives you an idea of the duration, for instance. So 20 seconds right now, around 20 seconds as an average, which is not great. The type of errors that you have in the logs, and then even the tenant that is extracted from the content. And I can go and just suddenly filter for tenant 1010. And then again, I'm reducing the amount of data. So I want to show you another services, because I think the detected field is super powerful. I have another services which is very popular, the Nginx reverse proxy that I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with. So it logs, obviously, in JSON. And what's very powerful about the detected field is like almost really building a dashboard for me, using just the logs. So I can see the request rate per host, I can see the request rate per path, I can select a specific path if I want, like the Loki patterns, which is a new API in Loki. And I can keep going down and maybe just focus on the 500. And then I'm only seeing in the logs now the 500 and this path. So that's what I think is very powerful. I want to show you one last feature before I stop the demo, which is patterns detection. So this is a new feature we have in Loki and that this app is using. I'm going to go to Tempo distributor, which is intentionally a very noisy application. I'm going to change to another one because it doesn't have patterns. Oh, too bad. There we go. Needed a refresh. All right. So the patterns, so this application actually logs a lot. And if we look at the logs, you'll probably not notice the version number when the pod is starting. But if I'm using an incident, I'm actually having a lot of logs, and it's very difficult for me to find a specific log, because we are limited to 1,000 in the log panel. So by using the pattern and looking maybe at the rows, I can see each of the different patterns. So I can look at this one to have a bit more information and how those patterns affect my logging output. So you can see that we have a lot of completed block, and I can remove it if I want, because this one doesn't sound to be related to the incident. And I can have a sense of the trend of each patterns and then use them and filter and find more information in my log. So this is the one that I'm interested into every time the pod starts. So I can answer the incident about the version. I can add it to the filter, and then suddenly I'm seeing very quickly the version of my pods. Cool, that's it for the demo. I'm going to switch back to slides. All right, so I want to extend a big thank you to the team who worked on this, because since the hackathon it was like 4 weeks ago, we actually worked very hard on this. So it's been a big race to actually release this today for you guys. And it's available in the open source. It's a new plugin that you can grab the repo and then go and install. It's also available in play.grafana.com. This is what I just used for doing the demo today. And this is not the only features that we have in Loki 3.0. I wanna welcome Owen Dill, principal engineer on the Loki project, to talk about the new features. Thank you.
You really said 3.0. That's supposed to be my line. Okay, hey everyone, I'm Owen. Cyril and I have worked a long time on Loki together. So yeah, Loki 3.0, it is fresh, hot off the presses. You can download it now. There's a lot of new stuff. We have another session later. The interesting thing is this also coincides with roughly 5 years since we started the project. And so there's a lot that's changed, but we've kind of tried to stay true to our roots along the way, which is especially important for a logging project. Logging roots, couldn't really resist there, but anyways, this is what I mean. And the top one is everyone's widely agreed on most important metric for open source projects. I joke a little bit, but it actually is a pretty good metric of stars on GitHub. The bottom one is actual installations that we hear about. And we doubled in about the past year, which is really big for us. Really excited to be working on a project that's been able to reach so many people. Does anyone use Loki here? And a couple? All right, no hands, bummer. And so today we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about scale, but it's really important to mention that this is kind of the roots of a lot of Loki's history. It's these small deployments, the DIYers, the open source conference goers. And we started as like Prometheus, but for logs. I kind of love this story because we were actually built, we still are built on top of Prometheus. And so you get a lot of really nice things transferring between different signals that way. But now we actually have people coming to Loki that don't use Prometheus, that haven't experienced that before. So kind of becoming the primary thing for a lot of people has been really exciting to see in the project. So we've built on a couple of principles. You know, we want to run on commodity hardware so that you can run it everywhere affordably. We want it to do schemaless, so no heavy indexing, so you can ingest logs from everywhere, any team, any language, any source, whether you control that or not. And as I said, we wanted kind of effortless Prometheus compatibility so you can switch between these things. Basically, we want to make sure that Loki is the right tool for you. If this is your stage, starting in the garage and wherever you end up. If it's, garage to my home lab, garage to monitoring my garden, or garage to boardroom of my startup. And so Loki can kind of go further now. And historically, this has meant we can maybe do some more features, we can scan more data faster. But we're realizing that for us to continue to advance, we're really going to need to be more efficient as well. And that's not just technical empathy and being efficient in that sense, but it also means some of the stuff that Cyril was just talking about. Building foundations for queryless user experience so that we can reach more people and not require people to be experts in LogQL. Also means things like making the targeted search that Loki already does more automatic so that you don't need to spend time figuring out how to extract value from Loki. You can spend time extracting value from the data that you put in it. And so I'm really, really excited to announce this. We teased it end of last year, but Loki 3.0 is launching with experimental support for automatic query acceleration. This is done internally via a special application of a concept called Bloom filters. And the gist of it is that for a lot of queries, we'll be able to get you the same results faster by only querying a small fraction, 10% or less in a lot of cases, of the data itself. And so if you really want to see a little bit more here, make sure you catch our talk in about half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. 5 years in, Loki turns 3.0. Next is Stephanie Hinchton. She's going to talk about Grafana and a bunch of different ways that we've extended that. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Owen. I am so thrilled that we all get to be here together in person, and I'm super excited to be sharing with you all about the future of Grafana and plugin developments. As many of you know, plugins have long been at the heart of Grafana. They truly embody our big tent philosophy, which emphasizes interoperability within the wider ecosystem, so that you can visualize and analyze your data, no matter where it lives, all within one single pane of glass. And over the years, we have seen an immense amount of creativity and innovation from all of the plugins you all have developed. From the Redis and Zabbix plugin, to the status and tree map panel, to countless others, you all have transformed the way that we visualize and analyze data. Meanwhile, we've heard from you all the limitations and the boundaries that you faced while developing plugins, such as lacking storage and being limited to solely defining new data sources and panels. So for a while now, we've been looking at a way to address these limitations. And today, we're incredibly excited to announce that we found a solution. Through a major shift in our underlying architecture, plugins will become first-party applications within Grafana. This shift is going to completely remove the boundaries that plugins face today and will allow plugins to access everything that core Grafana has access to, such as storage, authentication, and defining things beyond data sources and panels. Additionally, these new applications will be able to interact with one another. And this interaction is something we're really excited about, as it's going to open a lot of really cool doors to creating powerful observability solutions. To achieve all of this, we will be evolving Grafana into an observability application platform. We originally built this platform internally, and after deploying some cloud plugins like SLO on top of it, we've seen the benefits that it can provide. So now we're starting to bring it into Grafana and continuing to iterate on it there so that you all can continue to innovate without any boundaries. As we start on this journey, we cannot wait to see where you will take Grafana next. We have been continuously blown away by the really unique use cases you've found for Grafana that we never thought of. And with this new platform, we can't wait to see the new things that you all dream of. Tomorrow, Ryan and I will be diving into what this platform looks like and what it can give you. And then Joe will follow up with a presentation on how his team deployed the SLO app on top of this platform. But for now, we invite you to dream with us. Think about the problems that you faced in the observability space before and solutions that you wish existed. With this platform, we can build those together. And so now I'm going to invite Pasales up to the stage to talk about some more Big Ten investments we're making.
Hey. So another tentpole of Grafana's philosophy is our continuous investment in OpenTelemetry as a vendor-agnostic protocol. And Grafana Labs is one of the leading contributors in the OpenTelemetry ecosystem. We're spearheading the inclusion of profiles as an OTLP signal. We're enabling native OTLP ingestion in Mimir, Prometheus, Loki, and Tempo has been OTL native from day one. And our community members, our engineers have been really active in the community, from specification to semantic conventions, sustainability efforts, and all things. So for us, part of this journey is making sure that we're there to meet you wherever your data is. So today, we're excited to announce our new product, Grafana Alloy, Grafana Labs distribution of the OpenTelemetry collector. Alloy is the spiritual successor to Grafana Agent and comes supercharged with capabilities to help you write, scale, and debug powerful telemetry pipelines. It works with any OTL-compatible backend, like the open-source LGTM stack. And as a collector, Alloy has first-class support for the OpenTelemetry collector components that you're already using, the receivers, processors, and exporters, to build OTL-native pipelines, but also support for Prometheus and Loki pipelines. This makes for a tailored experience based on your needs, wherever you are on your OpenTelemetry journey, alongside your current observability setup. Furthermore, as a batteries-included platform, we have over 100 components to help you integrate with data from big cloud providers, your Windows, Linux, and Mac OS hosts, most popular applications and databases, as well as third-party tools like Vault. So to summarize, Alloy is our distribution of the OpenTelemetry collector, and it comes with a unique feature set that is built over our lessons learned from years of running telemetry collectors at large scale and our Big Ten values. To name a few, Alloy natively integrates with Kubernetes, so you don't have to deploy like an operator or other extra moving pieces. You can share and reuse advanced pipelines with your entire organization using a GitOps approach. And also, Alloy instances can discover each other automatically and distribute workload gracefully.